Let's begin with our continuing coverage of the Indian Prime Minister's significant Europe trip. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Berlin. After Germany, Prime Minister Modi will also visit Denmark and France. This happens to be the Indian Prime Minister's first visit abroad in the year 2022. While in Berlin, he will be holding bilateral talks with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The two leaders will co-chair the 6th edition of the India-Germany Intergovernmental Consultations. Several other ministers from both sides will participate in the high-level talks. Prime Minister Modi, of course, met the Indian diaspora in Berlin, and people extended a warm welcome to India's Prime Minister. The next stop will be Copenhagen. The Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, has invited Prime Minister Modi, who will participate in the second India-Nordic summit hosted by Denmark. Prime Minister Modi will then interact with other Nordic leaders, including the Prime Ministers of Iceland, Norway, Sweden and Finland. He will also attend an India-Denmark business forum. The Prime Minister will then meet the Indian community in Denmark. The summit will focus on issues of common interest like post-pandemic economic recovery, climate change, renewable energy, the evolving global security scenario, innovation and technology, and the India-Nordic cooperation, especially in the Arctic. Last but not the least, Prime Minister Modi will also make a brief visit to Paris. He will meet with French President Emmanuel Macron, who was recently elected for the second time. India and France complete 75 years of diplomatic cooperation this year. The high-level meeting comes at a time when Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine. The European Union is trying to find alternatives to Russian oil and gas. Europe's focus is shifting to green energy to reduce its dependence on Russian energy. The European Investment Bank will also now focus, or rather shift its focus, to sustainable projects in India. Now, our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibil, now joins us live from Berlin, from the heart of action. And for more analysis on the Indian Prime Minister's visit, also joining us is Professor Amartya Narlikel, the president of the German Institute for Global and Area Studies. And she, of course, is joining us live from Hamburg in Germany. I welcome both of you to WION at this hour.
Hello.
Siddhant, I want to begin with you. You, of course, are covering all the updates, all the on-the-ground updates from the Prime Minister's visit to Germany, to Europe. This is his first foreign trip of the year. A lot of expectations. I want to ask you at this hour, what does the Indian diaspora want from this visit?
Well, Priyanka, in fact, I'm surrounded by the members of the Indian diaspora right in front of the Brandenburg Gate, and they gave a rousing welcome to the Indian Prime Minister earlier today. And with me is one of the members of the Indian diaspora. Ma'am, welcome to WION. My first question to you is, you were earlier today present when the Prime Minister came. How did you welcome the Prime Minister? And also, you had a chance to speak to the Prime Minister. So what was the conversation with the Prime Minister earlier today?
I mean, I had a chance to greet him with Vanakkam and Namaste. I mean, I didn't really have a conversation, but it was amazing to greet him. So, yeah, that was a very big opportunity.
But how do you see Prime Minister's visit to Berlin, this one-day long visit in which he meets the leadership, but also diaspora?
I mean, like how I felt that he came to Berlin. So yeah, I felt amazing because he's our Prime Minister and he came all the way from India just to meet us and just to greet us. And yeah, so I feel really happy that he came.
So of course the diaspora is very enthusiastic about the presence of the Indian Prime Minister. In fact, even as we speak, the Indian diaspora is doing cultural events behind me, doing Garba and other, of course, cultural events. And it's a kind of a celebration that will end up with the address of the Indian Prime Minister at the theatre there, where of course the diaspora event is taking place. But nonetheless, there is the hard component as well, that is the diplomatic talks, the hard diplomacy when he meets with the German Chancellor. In fact, I'm just standing near the German Chancellery as well. So while the Prime Minister will be having conversations with the German Chancellor, the diaspora will be standing in front of the Brandenburg Gate and doing cultural events. So there is a celebration of India today here in Berlin, and a celebration that focuses on strengthening of partnership between India and Germany, which is a key powerhouse here in European Union. And at the heart of this is the people-to-people connect. In fact, since yesterday I've spoken to so many Indians who are living here and who have made Germany as their second home. And in fact, I met an Indian origin German politician as well, who of course talked about how Germany has been welcoming the Indians, the Indian diaspora, especially the Indian students who are working here and also studying in terms of research. In fact, you can now hear the Garba being done by the Indian diaspora member here in front of the Brandenburg Gate as well. So these visuals are something that are symbolic of the relationship between two countries, between India and Germany.
Right, absolutely. Siddhant, thanks so much for the on-ground updates. We'll keep coming to you for more through the day. Now, I want to shift focus to Professor Amartya Narlikel, who, of course, is now joining us from Hamburg in Germany. Professor, we just showed our viewers a glimpse of the popularity of the Indian Prime Minister in Berlin. Lots of Indian diaspora has gathered, but, of course, all eyes are currently on the expected conversation, the bilateral conversation between India's Prime Minister Modi and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. What can we expect to be the outcome there?
Okay. Hello, Priyanka. Thank you for having me on your show. So the Indo-German relationship, as Siddhant was indicating, is a good one. It's a friendly one. It's a positive one. But it's also a relationship that doesn't quite fulfill its potential yet. So in German, we have a phrase, es gibt Luft nach oben. There is considerable room for improvement.
Right.
And I hope the conversation today will take the direction of finding and filling that room for improvement.
Right. So when you say room for improvement, what sectors are we talking about specifically? Will we see new trade partnerships, anything to do with energy? We, of course, know that the Ukraine conflict is looming large over this visit.
Yeah. So, as you know, as you're aware, the EU-India FTA has not been the easiest of negotiations. There is hope for this for these negotiations to accelerate, also in light of the visit from Ursula von der Leyen last week to India. But these negotiations have not been easy, and they're not going to suddenly become very easy either. And there are several reasons why it's a complicated relationship, and because Germany is a key member, a leading member, a committed member of the EU, of course, that also complicates India's relationship with Germany. And one of the reasons is that the EU, whenever it's dealing with trade issues, seems to focus on trade in quite a narrow fashion. Right. So it looks at trade in terms of, and they talk about values, but it's social and environmental standards. But they don't look at trade through the perspective of geostrategy, through geoeconomics, the security implications of trade. And this is where the conflict with Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, is very important, because it's shown Germany the risks, the dangers of authoritarian advance and over-dependence on Russia. And India also has a difficult neighbor on its borders, China. And India should also be diversifying away from China. So there is also the Russian invasion of Ukraine leads to some tension between the EU and India, and Germany and India, and we can talk about that too if you like. But it's an important opportunity that both Germany and India would be well served to harness.
Absolutely. Professor, thanks so much for all those insights, and thanks for joining us on WION World is One. WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.